William Lancaster had everything: money, power, the kind of wealth that made people bow in his presence. But behind the billion-dollar empire, there was something he could never buy: a drop of blood. He was sterile, broken heart for years. Doctors told him the same thing. He would never have children. He tried everything, spent millions, but nothing worked. Eventually, he gave up, accepted his fate, convinced himself he didn't need a family. Until the night that changed everything. High voltage, a woman he didn't know, a woman he never should have met, saved his life. Then disappeared without a trace. Months later she came back. But she wasn't alone. In her arms? Not one, but two babies. Face with monocle. William's heart stopped. His mind refused to believe it. It wasn't possible. It couldn't be. He knew the truth. Science had confirmed it. He could not have children. So how were these babies his? Before we dive into this unbelievable story, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your country or city in the comments. 1 second. William Lancaster was invincible, untouchable, a billionaire whose name alone could shake boardrooms and make people bow. But in the next second, glass shattered, metal twisted, and his world spun out of control. Drop of blood trapped inside his wrecked car. He felt something he hadn't felt in years: fear. The kind of fear that stripped away his power, his money, his control. His body wouldn't move. His chest was caving in. And for the first time in his life, there was no one around to save him. Broken heart, people drove past, looked, kept moving. A billionaire on his deathbed, and no one cared. High voltage. Then she appeared. A woman, not dressed in diamonds or designer brands, not part of his world, just a stranger with nothing to give, except her own life to save his. Fearful face. Nia Carter didn't think. She just moved, pulled a dying man from a car that could explode at any second, put her hands on his broken chest, and when he stopped breathing, she gave him air from her own lungs. Man detected medium dark skin tone, but before he could open his eyes, before he could even see the woman who saved him, she was gone. When William woke up in the hospital, there was no trace of her. No name, no way to find her. The billionaire who had everything was now haunted by the one thing money couldn't buy: an answer. Face with monocle. William Lancaster never believed in fate, never believed in miracles. But the woman who saved him, she was no accident. Because months later she came back. But this time, she wasn't saving his life. This time, she was turning it upside down. Fire, and in her arms, two babies. His babies. But how? William Lancaster was a man who never accepted no for an answer. Deals, people, entire industries bent to his will. But for the first time in his life, he couldn't buy what he wanted. And what he wanted: a name, a face, a woman who had vanished like a ghost. Face with monocle, the woman who saved him wasn't just some good Samaritan. She was something more. And he knew, deep in his gut, that if he didn't find her, he'd never be able to sleep again. High voltage. For weeks, he obsessed. Called every hospital, every police station, hired private investigators, poured through traffic cameras. But there was nothing. No records. No trace. It was as if she had never existed. Broken heart, until one day a hit. A blurry street camera caught a woman running down a dark alley moments after his accident. No name, no address. But it was something. And William Lancaster never let something slip through his fingers. Performing arts, and there she was. Nia Carter, standing in a tiny, run-down apartment, looking at the man she had pulled from the edge of death. And to her, he was just another human being. Not a billionaire. Not powerful. Just a man she saved. Speech balloon. You found me. Fire. William expected gratitude, shock, maybe even excitement. But instead, she looked him in the eye and just nodded. No questions. No demands. No interest in his money. She had saved him, and to her, that was enough. Man detected medium dark skin tone, but to William, it wasn't. He had to know why. He had to understand this woman who had done what no one else in his life had. Saved him without asking for anything in return. Light bulb. At first, William tried the only thing he knew: money. He paid off her debts, got her a better apartment, made sure she never had to struggle again. But money wasn't what she needed. And for the first time, William had to learn how to give something else. Speech balloon time. Attention. Trust. Broken heart, Nia wasn't impressed by his wealth. She didn't care about his suits, his cars, his name. And for a man used to being admired for what he had, that shook him. High voltage, they talked. Slowly. Cautiously. Two strangers from different worlds, learning each other in ways neither of them expected. She challenged him, saw through him, and before he knew it, she had become the only person who made him feel something real, fire, and just when he thought he had finally found something worth holding on as she disappeared. Again, faced with monocle, one morning, William showed up at her apartment. But this time, the door was open, and inside, empty. No clothes, no furniture, no sign that she had ever lived there. She was gone. Broken heart, no warning, no explanation. Just gone. Light bulb, 3 words. That was all she left behind. 3 words that sent ice through William's veins. Speech balloon, forget about me. High voltage asterisk, but William Lancaster wasn't the kind of man to forget. And what he didn't know, Nia Carter wasn't just running from him. She was hiding something. Something that would change everything. Asterisk collision. Months had passed. Months of silence. Months of searching. Months of unanswered questions. Nia was gone. And with her, the only thing that had ever made William Lancaster feel truly alive. Broken heart. At first, he was angry. Then, he was numb. And finally, he forced himself to forget. She made her choice. She vanished. And maybe he had been a fool to care. High voltage, but fate wasn't done with him yet. Faced with monocle, it happened on a night like any other. A simple walk through the city. But then he saw her. High voltage Nia, standing in the dim glow of a streetlight. And in her arms, 2 tiny bundles. 2 babies. Bomb. William's world tilted. His mind screamed 1,000 questions at once. But only one made it past his lips. Speech balloon Nia. Fire. She didn't run. Not this time. She just stood there, holding the impossible in her arms. Broken heart, and William didn't know whether to feel relief or betrayal. Faced with monocle, his feet moved before his brain could process. One step, then another, until he was standing in front of her, close enough to see the exhaustion in her eyes, close enough to see the tiny hands peeking from the blankets. Bomb, he demanded answers, demanded the truth. His voice shook with a mix of anger and something more terrifying. Hope. Speech balloon, whose babies are those? Speech balloon, they're yours. Collision, no. It wasn't possible. It couldn't be. He knew the truth. Science had confirmed it. He was sterile. He could never have children. Broken heart, so why did these babies have his eyes? Fire. His mind spiraled. Was this a cruel lie? A scam? Had she used him? Or was this some kind of miracle? High voltage, Nia's lips trembled. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't joyful. She looked scared, terrified, faced with monocle, and then, with a shaky breath, she spoke words that shattered him more than anything else ever could. Speech balloon William. There's something you don't know. Fire. Whatever she was about to say would change everything. Collision. William Lancaster had spent his life believing one thing, that he would never be a father. But now, staring at 2 tiny faces that mirrored his own, that truth was unraveling. And he needed answers. Faced with monocle, he didn't trust words. He needed proof. Cold, hard science. A DNA test. High voltage, the results came back faster than expected. And when the doctor walked in, William could barely breathe. Speech balloon, congratulations, Mr. Lancaster. There's no doubt. The twins are yours. Broken heart, his heart stopped. His throat tightened. He had prepared for every possibility, except this one. Fire. For years, he had lived under a cruel sentence, believing his bloodline would die with him. But now, there were 2 undeniable pieces of proof cradled in Nia's arms. Light bulb, but then, something didn't sit right. Faced with monocle, William knew his condition wasn't guesswork. He had seen the test results himself. He had been told, time and time again, that fatherhood was impossible. So how was this happening? Bomb, he demanded a deeper investigation. He wanted every test rechecked, every file reviewed, and what he found was something far more shocking than he could have ever imagined. Fire, his sterility, had never been permanent. Broken heart, a rare medical anomaly. A temporary condition. One that had reversed itself years ago. But no one had told him, because someone had hidden it. High voltage, this wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. Someone wanted him to believe he could never have children. Faced with monocle, the hospital files had been altered, tampered with, and the name attached to the forged medical reports. Collision, his own brother. Broken heart, Elliot Lancaster. The man who had stood by his side for years. The man he had trusted above all others. The man who now, he realized, had stolen something priceless from him. Fire, to the truth hit like a wrecking ball. This was never about medicine. This was about power. Control. The billion-dollar empire William had built. High voltage, if William had no children, no heir, the Lancaster fortune would pass to the next in line. And Elliot had made sure of that. By burying the truth. Bomb, for years. William had been living in the shadows of a lie. A lie crafted by the one person he had never suspected. Broken heart, but now, standing in the soft glow of his children's nursery, he knew one thing for certain. Fire, they were his. His blood. His future. And no one, would ever take them away from him again. Broken heart, for the first time in his life, William Lancaster had everything. Not just wealth, not just power, but love, trust, and the one thing he thought he could never have, a future. Fire, he had fought for justice. He had confronted his brother. And in the end, the truth had set him free. Speech balloon, what would you do if you discovered your entire life had been a lie? Collision, could you ever forgive a betrayal this deep, especially from your own families? Thought balloon, do you believe everything happens for a reason? Or was this just cruel fate at play? Exploding head, imagine being told you could never have children, only to find out years later that it was all a lie. How would you feel? Red heart, who in your life would drop everything to save you like Nia did for William? Tag them in the comments. Sparkles, what was the most shocking part of this story for you? Let us know. Fire, this story was unbelievable. But for some people, reality can be just as shocking. Sparkling heart, if this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. A friend, a family member, someone who loves a story that makes you think, feel, and question everything. Bell, and don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another jaw-dropping story. Speech balloon, we can't wait to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments, and let's talk. Collision, no. Fire, the moment billionaire William Lancaster heard the words, he collapsed to his knees. Drop of blood, he was sterile. It was medically impossible. And yet, before him, in the arms of the woman who had saved him from death, were two perfect, breathing, crying miracles. Broken heart twins. His twins. Speech balloon, how? High voltage, that's when Nia, the woman he had been desperately searching for, whispered the words that changed his life forever. Bomb, they're yours, William. And you were never supposed to know the truth. Speaking head, stay tuned, because this story will leave you speechless. Thank you for watching.